Hi, I'm Lizzie and this is Laura. In February 2023, we sailed on board P&O's Azura, and here is what we loved and some of the things we didn't like so much.
So firstly, the whole thing was just really well organised. We were able to fly out to Tenerife from Birmingham Airport, which was really, really good because it's local for us and quite quick for us to get to. There was a P&O rep there waiting at the airport to meet us as soon as we arrived. We hadn't been able to check in online before we flew, so they explained everything that we needed to do once we got there. And then we checked our bags in, went straight through security like you would for a normal flight.
Had breakfast.
Yeah. Sat ourselves in the pub for a little bit as well, didn't we? But we did have to collect our case at Tenerife Airport, which is something we haven't had to do on other fly cruises. But it wasn't actually that bad, was it? We were a bit like...
No, it was quite close from the baggage handling bit to the coach.
Yeah, so it weren't a nightmare. And then it was a little bit slow at times, like we felt like we were sitting on the coach for ages.
There was quite bad traffic leaving the airport.
Yeah, but we were at the ship really quickly.
Check-in was very quick to get on board, and we were on board by midday.
Yeah. We got into our cabin quite quickly as well. They were ready quite early, and we were eating lunch.
And then coming home was just as well organised. So we put our suitcases out the night before, and then we didn't see them again until at Birmingham Airport.
Yeah, which is really good, isn't it? You can't complain about that at all.
The staff on board were absolutely incredible. They were all very friendly, stopped to say hello to us. We don't think we walked past one member of staff that didn't greet us.
No, they were great, weren't they?
We had a member of staff ask us if we'd been on board Iona on the sea occasion, and he remembered us from then, which always amazes me that staff recognise us.
Yeah, like you're talking 18 months, aren't you, since that cruise? So insane.
And my particular favourite thing about the staff is we got asked if we were twins quite often, which Laura hates.
Surely it's obvious that we're not. The condition of the ship itself was lovely, wasn't it? It was... I think it's been about 18 months, someone will probably correct me on this, but I think it's been about 18 months since Azura last went into a dry dock, and the updates that it had, I think it was like new furnishings and things like that in loads of the lounges, and it all looks really good. We'd been on Ventura last April, so less than 12 months ago, and the difference in the ships was like night and day, I thought. The condition of like, particularly places like Malabar, I thought had really stood the test of time, and everything just looked lovely on board. And
recently we've sailed on board Iona quite a few times, so we're used to something looking sparkling and and it looked good. We
were worried, weren't we, that it would seem a little bit
old, dated,
drab. One thing that did shock us though was how small the atrium looked compared to Iona's atrium, but other than that, like, you know, the ship was sparkling, it was so clean everywhere, and just generally looked in great condition. So we thought the guest entertainment they had on board as well was really good. There was some interesting acts, people we'd never seen before. We had Sammy Lomax, who did she did a show on her own in the theatre, and she did well, it wasn't really on her own, was it? It was with that graffiti classics thing.
But we didn't see that one.
And then she did the Paloma Faith tribute, which I enjoyed anyway. So and then Harry Lineker, who I thought was fantastic. Yeah. He was great voice, but also like really had a good stage presence and just kind of held the audience well, didn't he?
Quite funny as well at times.
Yeah. And then the comedian, Jack Ryan, that's what he was called. I know that Jack Ryan's been around and about P&O ships a lot, but we've actually never seen him. And we enjoyed both of his shows in Manhattan and the late night comedy as well. We got ourselves, somebody saved us a seat very kindly.
Thanks, Tom and Dal.
Yeah. So we jumped on their table and spent a long time in there, so that we made sure we had a seat for that late night comedy, and it was well worth it. Really, really funny.
And I've never learnt why people don't learn that you don't sit at the front for a comedian. Something that definitely helped the cruise was how amazing the weather was. We're not massive fans of it being too hot. So being in the early 20s is perfect for us.
Yeah, it was so nice to have some winter sun as well, wasn't it?
It was just a good dose of vitamin D, well needed. Highly recommend going away in February if you can to some sun.
Yeah.
It was quite painful coming back home to cold Birmingham when it was raining.
I mean, we even managed a bit of sunbathing, which is like unheard of for us. So
we really enjoyed all of the food on board. We felt the first couple of days we got a bit worried because we felt like the dining room was the same old P&O menus, and we had read about new dishes and we were wondering where they were going to be.
yeah.
But we soon had some of those popping up on our menus.
Yeah, it was really good, wasn't it? One of the nights in the dining room, I remember us both coming out saying that was one of the best meals we'd had on board P&O, and other people we spoke to on board said the same. And then we tried a few of the specialities as well, and all of them were excellent.
So we went to Sindo, which we've always loved Sindo, the Glass House for a lunch, and the Beach House.
Yeah, no complaints about any of those. We did make sure we booked as soon as we got on board, didn't we? Used My Holiday and booked as soon as we boarded, because we'd read that we were boarding on the Saturday of the fly cruises and they board on either Friday and Saturday, and we'd read that it was really difficult to get into the specialities. But we didn't have a problem. We got the days we wanted and the times we wanted.
We, bizarrely for us, absolutely loved the buffet. Usually we find the buffet too chaotic, too busy, can't get enough of the food that we like, but this time we really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So there were a few things that weren't as good as they could have been. One of the biggest ones for me was the availability of drinks on the drinks package. I mean, they give you that disclaimer that you sign every time you buy that drinks package that says, you know, if it's not available, it's not our fault kind of thing. But this was by far the worst we've ever had it. I mean, I keep going on about this, so, you know, if you follow us on Instagram, you've probably heard this, but they ran out of Pepsi Max on the second day.
Second or third day.
Yeah, and to not be able to get like a really popular soft drink, I mean, you could have walked into the supermarket and bought it, so for that to not be available for them to restock just seemed a little bit bizarre, I thought.
Bottles of water, you had to have the cans instead, which obviously then are not great when you're getting off the ship. Seems to be various problems with different wines.
Yeah, that Holy Snail, was it Holy Snail?
Yeah.
That one day they had it, publish it as the wine of the day on the menu, and they're pushing everybody to buy it. The next day it's run out.
I did have it on the last night. And if you like a beefsteak, Melba, you can always get a bottle of that.
This one's probably only really minor, and for some people it just won't bother them at all. But just some of the venues that they chose to do some of the entertainment in were a little bit odd. Like Malabar got used for what used to be Battle of the Sexes, but now is Battle of Brodies on most ships.
But it was Battle of Malabar.
Yeah. And it just didn't seem to work in there. Like, I like it when that quiz has got the screens and you pick the question numbers and they put picture rounds up on board.
I like it when you can get a drink at the quiz. But you couldn't get a drink at the quiz because the bar wasn't open in Malabar until
5 o'clock. Yeah.
So we also went to watch an orchestra in Malabar, and again the bar wasn't open, so you had to go and search for a drink beforehand.
Yeah, it was just weird. Like, I thought it was a bit of a missed opportunity, really. Like, if the bar was open, people would have bought drinks.
And the venues would have been busier.
Yeah.
For those. So even though we obviously already knew about this before we got on board, shower curtains, they just are something that really, really irritate us when we're on board. We absolutely love going on board Iona Britannia because they've got glass screens, but it's just, when it sticks to you, it's just horrible. And it's hard enough trying to shave your legs, etc. in a shower anyway on board a ship when it's moving without having a shower curtain sticking to you too. I'm also great at managing to make the bathroom flood.
I was absolutely going to say that before you did, that Lizzie is just absolutely incapable of keeping the bathroom dry when there's a shower curtain involved.
So one of the things that we found quite frustrating was on our last night, the Friday night, there was no entertainment in the theatre. So there was a film on.
It's just so weird, isn't it?
Our last night of holiday, yes, some people like to go to bed early. We don't. We like to make the most out of it and have a lot of fun. But basically on the last night, there just wasn't any real entertainment. Luckily, it was Carnival in Tenerife, so we got off the ship and had an amazing night, probably one of the best nights we've ever had in our whole life.
It was so good, but if we hadn't have done that, we'd have been really disappointed. And really, like, Carnival didn't kick off until like 11 o'clock probably even a bit later by the time it actually started. So it would have been really nice to have been able to do something on board first and then get off and enjoy ourselves. And also, like, really weirdly, that was some people's first night on board. So their impression of the entertainment is a film in the theatre. Like, it just doesn't seem right.
Also, it was 4th day before we saw Pulse on board, and normally you see Pulse everywhere. So that was a bit strange that we didn't see them before. I don't know if there was somebody who had been unwell, and that's the reason why they had a few days off.
Yeah. Our last gripe is an issue that was probably personal to us, but we just found this a bit irritating. We had a bit of an issue with the charge in the glass house, and we went to the glass house on our first sea day, which was only our 2nd day on board. Yeah. So it was really, really early in the cruise. We enjoyed a great lunch. The meal itself was lovely. And, you know, the staff in there were great. The service was fantastic at the time. But we didn't sign a bill at the end of the meal.
They asked us whose card we wanted to put it on, and we stated it didn't matter. It could go on to either of our cards. And then when we were checking the bill I can't even remember why we checked it. It was for another reason. Yeah. We had both got charges for the glass house on. Yeah. Laura had one for £13 something, and I had one for £6.95. So I then presumed that was for a glass of wine, because I'd had a glass of wine in there. That value was £6.95. So I presume we'd been charged for a drink that we shouldn't have, because we were on the drinks package. Yeah,
so we assumed that had been the error. We went to reception, told them what the problem was. They asked to see the onboard statement, then they did whatever they should do. They contacted the glass house, and we didn't hear anything back until the last day on board, did we? Was it
we went back to reception on the 2nd from last day, saying that we still hadn't heard anything. He was apologetic and said he didn't understand why we hadn't, and that he would contact the glass house and then they would get back to us. Yeah. And then later on we went back to our cabin, we had an answer phone message. Yeah, and they said it wasn't a drink, it was for food we'd purchased, so the charge would stay. But we knew the food we'd had wasn't to that value, and I know for some people will be sitting watching this thinking it's probably £5, what difference does it make? But if you had that happen to you multiple times, it would soon mount up. So we went back to reception again, and this time they said, do you know what, it's probably easier if you go to the glass house. Which, if they'd have said that to us in the first place, we could have sorted this out on the 2nd day, and it wouldn't have been an issue at all. Because they gave us a printout, didn't they, of our bill. It doesn't itemise it, so we still couldn't see what was wrong. And then, but the glass house researched it, and then they discovered that we'd been charged for a sirloin steak, which neither of us had. No. So they then straight away took it off the bill, and there wasn't another issue with it after that. No, absolutely not. But it could have all just been sorted a lot quicker. Yeah, I think the biggest issue with it was that if they'd have just said to us, if you go to the glass house, they'll resolve it for you, we'd have just done it straight away. Next time, if anything like that happens, we might just go straight to the venue rather than having to say. Overall, we had an absolutely fantastic time on board, and as always, we can't wait to get back on a cruise ship again. It was just like pre-COVID. The staff were happy, the ship was very, very busy, and it just felt like incredible, an amazing cruise again with everybody. Everybody we spoke to on board commented on what a good cruise it was. Yeah, absolutely. We met some great people as well, didn't we? We met the amazing Tom and Dom Travel. So if you don't already follow them and subscribe to them on all the social medias, do check them out, because they'll have some great videos about what we got up to on board Azura. And you have them to thank for us being on YouTube now, because they persuaded us to do this. They did. We found it a perfect time of year to go on a Canaries cruise. I think the week before they'd had a bit of bad weather, a bit of rain, but our week was just amazing for weather. And to be honest, it's not usual for us to get the amazing weather. We normally get the rain. We also got all the carnivals everywhere too, which was good fun. And I think that really helped with the enjoyment. And we've already started to look for a possibility of booking a similar itinerary for next year or the year after, depending on what other cruises we get booked. Yeah, but we would definitely do that itinerary again and do it with P&O as a fly cruise, because it just makes things so simple. Yeah, definitely. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give us a like and a subscribe. And if there's anything you'd like to see us talking about in future, please comment down below and we will do our very, very best. You can also follow us on all social media. We're at Sisters on the Seas.